And good morning, and I'm very excited to be here with Kathy James. There's nothing I like better than a teacher and a teacher of teachers and a teacher with a lot of experience that not only has the experience, but is willing to create materials for other teachers. I mean, that's my favorite kind of person in the world. So, and Kathy James would just fit that perfectly. So it's time for me to stop talking about that and let Kathy talk about, first of all, her background and experience, and then we'll have some other things to talk about as well. So, Kathy, take it over.
All right. Well, first off, thank you, Dr. Sam, for giving me this opportunity to talk to colleagues in the field about some things that we are finding that are really working for us here in Ohio. I'm in Oxford, Ohio, in the Talawanda School District, and as far as my background, I've been teaching and coaching teachers for over 30 years as an early educator, mostly, primarily. I've worked in the field of special education along the way and as a Title I reading specialist as well. I'm currently having my second go around as a first grade teacher in our district. I decided to hang up my coaching hat and put some of my words into practice here in the
I
classroom.
love those first grade kindergartners and first graders are among my favorite people in the world.
Right. And I've done some preschool in the past too. So lots of that good experience. But I just really am appreciative for this opportunity. As I said, for 5 years before I jumped back into the classroom, I was our district's literacy coach. And she's really the one that told me about Rime Magic. And I wanted to share with you how that first came about. So she's a Title I reading interventionist who I hold high regard for. The two of us have taught reading in many different ways over the years. And she said, you need to sit down with me and you need to see how this works. And so when I finally made time to sit down with her, and she picked up her Rime Magic cards and then the embedded rhyme cards, and she did a little demo for me. I had a big aha moment because I could see that this was something we hadn't tried before. We hadn't tried giving kids access to that key part of the word and helping them to unitize letter strings in this way. And so I was really excited to learn about it. Our district curriculum director listened to me. And as we've worked hard to align ourselves in Ohio with structured literacy practices, we've also added Rime Magic to our curriculum, and we've seen a lot happen. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So I had the opportunity myself to teach Rime Magic during the pandemic. I was still the literacy coach, but I said to our curriculum director, nobody really needs to hone their craft right now. Would you allow me to teach? And so she did. I taught online 10 Zooms a day during the 2021 school year. And I taught our striving Title I readers, kindergarten to third grade. And I simply used 5 to 8 minutes of a Rime Magic steps 4 and 5 every day. And then I brought in Timothy Rosinski's fluency, authentic, lively fluency practice for the last 15 to 20 minutes of our Zoom calls. And it was wonderful. And we got great results, and the kids and I enjoyed our time together. So I was really excited with what we saw. And then when I returned into my coaching role, I really asked our teachers to try this out, try Rime Magic out alongside Orton Gillingham, alongside Hegarty. And most of our teachers have now done so, K2, some 3, all the way through 6th grade, including Title I special ed teachers and classroom teachers. So it's really sort of taken off here.
What I love about this is basically what we have are two approaches that are sometimes seen as antagonistic to each other. But rather than that, you're actually being supportive and getting the job done that way. So you wanted to talk next about the things you're seeing since you've added Rime Magic to your curriculum for the full range of readers. And by the way, my ears perked up when you said how much time you need. Boy, so hit that hard, because are we really serious 5 to 7 minutes or whatever you just said is really it. So I'll turn it back over to you and let you tell us all about what you're seeing as you put this together with your other programs.
Okay, and thank you for that footnote, because yes, really, I'm serious. And I've told our teachers that, and that's what our teachers are finding. And now I myself am finding that a lively, well-paced 5 to 8, 10 minutes max of Rime Magic daily, whole group, small group, and across tiers of instruction, layering that experience for students has really made a difference in our curriculum for the full range of readers. You know, since the pandemic, we are meeting readers who present with big gaps. Some of them were absent or online and didn't have positive learning experiences then, have been homeschooled since then. And I have one student who was a second grader 2 years ago. He's now in 4th grade. But he and I met up during his second grade year after he had been sort of online for a time, but really absent most of the time. He was supposed to have been one of my students. The next year he was homeschooled. And then I got a hold of him a few years back as a second grader when he came to us really for the first time. And he did not know how to read. He read 2 words on the Slauson oral reading preschool word list. He read 2 words correctly. He and I didn't have a lot of time to get together that spring, but the following year, last year, I was able to enter a 6-week pilot with our title teachers doing 8 minutes of Rime Magic, 15 to 20 minutes of repeated oral reading with lively, highly engaging texts, Rosinski. And this student was one of my 3rd graders. Within a month, and by the end of our 6 weeks together, he was reading above grade level on the Slauson oral reading test, and he's meeting benchmarks for oral reading fluency as well. So he's just one case in point about those students who present to us with gaps can make progress fast despite those gaps. I also think that Rime Magic works for the very young students. So last year during that 6-week pilot, when I taught Title I reading again, I had a group of 4 kindergartners who qualified for Title I because they fell below benchmark in our district screener. And so I took them on and I redid it again, Rime Magic with some of the Rosinski strategies, plenty of scaffolded oral reading fluency practice. And by the end of the 6 weeks, those students graduated from Title I reading. They were reading above benchmark and at the early 1st grade level, according to text level reading scores. So those kids then went back to their classroom and told one of the kids told his teacher, I want to teach my peers how to do Rime Magic. So she said, all right, Kathy, you've been talking about this for a while. Let's try it. You come in and do it. And so I said, well, your students are ready to move. Your students in Title are ready to move past the short vowel rhymes and into the more complicated, the orange rhymes. I scramble them up, as you can see. My students want to meet them all now by mid 1st grade. But so I did. I bought kits for all those kindergarten teachers here in the building I'm now in, and the kids started teaching each other and the teachers took it on. One teacher said, listen, I'm going to do Orton Gillingham with Fidelity this year. I really can't take on one thing more. Finally, about a few weeks later, she said, okay, I cave. Everyone's telling me that this is working and I want to see it in action. Will you come to my classroom? Bought her a kit, did a demo. She came back to me and said, I watched Sharon Zinke and I want to be her best friend. This is going to make all the difference. I now have those kindergartners in 1st grade. They've come to me pretty literacy ready for the most part, some of them reading well above grade level. So I think that we've hit upon something for sure.
Okay, and I'm going to give you a little surprise here. I don't know if you're expecting this or not, but I noticed you have, yeah, I noticed you have your kit here.
Yeah.
My name is Sam Student, and I need a lesson on,
Okay.
and you and as Sam Student, let's say I'm a kindergartner, and I
Okay.
need the lesson on something basic, and you said it'd only take a couple of minutes. So could you do that?
Sure, I can do that. Sam Student, you know, these are our vowel letters, and these letters can make their short vowel sounds and their long vowel sounds. We're going to work with A that says apple, E says elephant, I says inchworm, O says octopus, and U says umbrella. Will you do that with me now? And we would do that in unison, right? And then I'd say, all right, Sam, now I'm going to show you these magic rhyme cards, and I want you to see that we have one of these sounds at the beginning of each magic rhyme. Now, I'd only do this the very first time a kindergartner was introduced, this step and this step. And I would kind of take them through and say, let's say this together, apple, and this would be propped up where they could see it, right? And then we would go across octopus, umbrella, and so forth. And then next I would say, okay, now let's try this. Let's read the magic rhyme together and see what we can do with it. Ready? Together, 3 times. Ugh,
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 ugh. Mm-hmm. And,
and, and,
and what if we wanted to spell the word penny? Oh, pen. And they would help me spell the word pen. Or I raise chickens. Let's spell the word hen, H-E-N, hen, right? So we would do this for a time, and we would read some magic rhymes, and we would stop and spell some simple consonant, vowel, consonant words. Ebb, ebb, ebb. Let's spell the word web. Very good. And then in a sitting or two, I would be bringing out the endings card. So this would be a few days after practicing that, right? And I would ask students, can you hear when I say Marley jumps on the bed? Do you hear this at the end? And do you hear the Marley jumped on the bed, or he's jumping on the bed? Can you hear that ending? And we would go through and I would introduce the endings very quickly. Then, Sam, we would be doing this. I'd be saying, let's read the magic rhyme. Ip, ip, ip. All right, now let's make this word say skipping. Can you do that? And they would have to, what ending do you hear? And they raise their hand, and the kids are leaning in. Sam, I have pictures, I have videos. They just like, I know. And then always supportive, you know? And when they finally land, when they land on the ing, yes, very good. Skipping, it's always positive feedback. And then we would even be weaving in a blend very early in kindergarten, as well as doubling that consonant. So we'd figure out skipping. What do we hear first? Do you hear the okay, we've got the S-K-I, oops, P-P, and then I-N-G. So the biggest thing then is when we do the really magic part and we take out our embedded rhyme cards, and I say, now, can you find the magic rhyme for me? And this would happen a few days after that. And they all catch on very quickly. Yes, it's I-G. Let's read it together. Ig, ig, ig. Now read the word wig, wiggle, and look at that ending. So lots of times they'll point out the endings first before they point out the magic rhyme, but quickly they learn that. And then I've got embedded, Sharon has embedded rhyme cards that have double endings as well, and the embedded rhyme cards that match up with all of the other more complicated vowel patterns, and her orange set of magic rhyme cards. So that's just a quick, did that work?
that worked totally. It's gonna, well, I'm waiting for the arrival of my kit. Okay, I've got her book, but I don't have the kit yet, and I may just end up making some of those things myself until the kit gets here. But one teaching move I noticed, and I hope my listeners did, is what you were doing with your fingers to show. So could you comment on that just for a second and tell us, that was a purposeful thing. Tell us what you're doing with your fingers there, like
purposeful. So right. So if we wanted to spell the word, let's say swimming, for example, swimming, I would ask them for the ending, and when they find it, I would concur. I'd say, do you hear that? Do you hear the ing saying ing? Great. Now let's start here. Swimming. We hear 2 sounds, and we're putting the 2 consonant sounds with our finger. But what we're effectively doing is bringing kids' attention to that key part of the word, something that we haven't always done in phonics instruction. And so we're saying, then we spell S-W-I, and get ready for it. What are we going to do? Double it, M-M. And then these 3 words are off the card, I-N-G, swimming, right? And then if we were to spell a word like foggier, foggier, well, that gets a little bit more complicated because there's two endings there. Foggier. What do you hear? And they're going to say ER pretty quick, right? All right. What do we hear just before that? Foggier. What's saying E there, right there at the ending? And they'll say why. Okay. And then we talk about very quickly and naturally, we say, oh, and did you know we're going to have to change that Y to I before we add the ER? All right. So let's give it a go. Ready? And then we spell. And I might show them we're going to change the Y to I and then add ER. So very intentionally, the I gets one finger and the ER get two separate fingers so that they see that there are two endings there. Again, only really looking at that key part in the middle of the word and how to then, do you see how it makes sense that they can then begin to unitize letter strings?
Absolutely. I'm enthralled. And I love the visual cues, and the number of sounds and the all the rest. So that's a lot of work. All right. So now I understand you're integrating Rhyme Magic across the tiers and even in your summer program. So um, anything you want to say about that, and also how you've been including it in your full curriculum?
Sure. You know, I was talking about the range of readers that we've reached with Rhyme Magic, including those who have gaps, those who are early and emerging with their skills. But since I've come in as a first grade teacher and had some students who came in a little lower on the bell curve, they're also getting Rhyme Magic and repeated oral reading in our title classroom down the hall, as well as in my room. And already we're seeing those students make up ground. But I have two students currently who are really still struggling to decode and to unitize those letter strings. So I use Sharon's Power Pack, and we can talk more about that as well another time, but it works on the same basic premise. But with those students, I'll pull them aside. I have them bring their breakfast into my classroom rather than eat in the cafeteria. And while they're eating their sugary breakfast, I'm here flashing all the words in, for example, the at family, and with longer and more endings and with blends at the beginning and the consonant digraphs, SH, TH, CH, and they're keeping score in their scorecard when they're knocking off those families off their scorecard. So even for our students who are really striving to learn how to decode and needing that extra reinforcement, I'm able to do that. I set up some fluency work with Rosinski's poems, songs, nursery rhymes, tongue twisters, riddles, etc. We're writing our own versions and having fun with all of that as well. But I'm not the only one. I have a special ed teacher who is now our literacy coach, formerly the special ed teacher. She took my position this year as a literacy coach. And when she was still in the classroom, she was finding that kids were making progress. And she was talking to about parents and school psychs about moving them off of their IEPs. So I don't mean to make it sound miraculous, but I do want to impress upon listeners that I feel like we're reaching the full range of students. When as I said, we have brought Rhyme Magic in with our summer program. We use Scholastic, Pam Allen's Lit Camp in our summer programming. And Sharon Zinke has come in the last few years and trained all of our summer school teachers on Rhyme Magic. And we're pairing Rhyme Magic with Lit Camp in summer school. And so teachers across the district will sign up to do that. And word has caught on, and now they want to do it because they love Pam Allen's Lit Camp and they love Rhyme Magic. But the chair of our sixth grade ELA department, or our middle school ELA department, who teaches sixth grade herself, when she first learned about Rhyme Magic, she said, Kathy, you have to tell our Lit Lab teachers, they're the teachers in sixth grade, who work with those students who aren't yet decoding on a third grade level or fourth grade level. And so we've done that. So teachers up through our middle school in tier 2 Lit Lab and in special ed are using Rhyme Magic. I do think that's important to note.
Okay, I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a second and say, well, first of all, you know that I'm a follower and use Tim Rosinski's work, and I promise you, readers out there, that there will be a link to both Tim's interview and Kathy's uh, for everyone to look back on and see that this all fits together.
Right.
And what I love about it the most is that it does all fit together, that it is not a replacement program, that it is a program that supplements, and that it's taking the best of both worlds. We have the inquiry kind of instruction, we have the direct kind of instruction, and you're using elements of both as you do this. So I'm just going to say two magic things here. One is set for variability. I think you're promoting it. And the other is teaching to transfer. And by the way, that sometimes is a problem with people using some of the programs. The teachers learn the sounds and the kids don't. And the teachers know how to use the sounds and the kids don't, because that the way you're doing it makes sure that it's taught to transfer. And so that's me on my little soapbox. And now I'm going to ask you why it thinks it worked, but why you think it works.
And on that note, I remember 2 years ago, a kindergarten teacher coming to me and she said, Kathy, my students, oh, excuse me, I'm in my classroom and the lights go off. My students are taking what they're doing in Rime Magic and they're doing it in their writing. And Dr. Sam, I'm not exaggerating. They're doing that in my classroom too. They're using the Y ending, they're using the ED ending, multiple sounds that it makes, et cetera, and blends. So it really is wrapping in. Now, they don't always carry over right to their reading if they don't have that natural readiness about them. But what I do is we search for the rhyme in our connected text. So when we're doing connected reading and we're reading songs and poems, we might look for the rhyme and then point out the ending and highlight those things as we're reading. And there is carryover. And that is what's so exciting about it in both reading and writing, because we know they happen together and they teach one another. Why does it work? I did a book study on Kilpatrick's book, Reading Success, and I borrow a quote from him. He says, attending to the internal structure of words is the very process needed to store words for future retrieval. It's that semantic mapping. And he really talks about how it's very developmentally appropriate to lean on onset rhyme research as we're teaching phonics to our very young readers and on. And I just really feel that combined with what Rosinski's doing, bringing the musicality of songs, poems, chants, tongue twisters, riddles, enjoying reading, it's high interest. We allow the kids to choose what they're going to read. The liveliness and the pacing of the two together just seems to really, really work. And I just appreciate so much the opportunity to get that out, because I'll be happy when we're talking about using these strategies as a matter of course, alongside the best practices that we all know also work.
Okay, well put. I'm going to put a little plug in here in case there would happen to be someone from any company out there that's looking for a webinar. Hint, hint, hint. I would love to put like you and Rosinski and the people from England together in something. And I'm just throwing that out there, and fish bread upon the waters. We'll see if anybody's listening. But we just never know. Okay, so now this is the part where I say anything important that we've left out. This is your last, it's kind of like your last hurrah, your last chance. Did we leave anything important out? If you got something to say it, now's your big chance.
Well, I think as teachers of reading, we're sorting through lots of information right now about how to teach reading. And it's overwhelming at times. Like my colleagues, I've been a teacher researcher all my life, just devouring the books from you experts and learning from and alongside you. So I want to say to teachers, I'm in it. I'm struggling. Ask my colleagues. I feel like a first-year teacher this year, but it's doable. It's doable, and you're going to have fun, and the kids are going to have fun, and you will see the carryover. So I appreciate you as a centrist reminding us that we can bring these things in and put them alongside other approaches and really find success for our students, which just is what we're all in it for.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all that. And yes, I do believe this shows that it pays handsomely to use things from all sides. There's one very, very last thing that always happens in a bomber interview, and it's a silly thing, but I've been doing it for years now. It's the Zoom wave goodbye. So a nice big smile, give that hand a wave, and
Thanks, Dr.
well
Sam.
done. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.